Hi guys, and welcome to this TechteamGB episode. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Asustor 202T NAS. Now on the front of the device you see there's two drive bays, a USB 3 port and some other things we're going to cover. The drive bays flick out quite nicely but the push of a button, and currently how I'm going to be testing this is a 2TB Seagate Barracuda 7200 RPM drive, and it'll just be that one itself, and by the way, just to install the drives all you have to do is put a screw in. 2.5-inch drives also fit in the device, which is fantastic as it allows for up to whatever size SSDs or smaller hard drives if that's all you've got. Now one cool thing I did notice is that the actual brackets themselves have little LEDs on the front, which is passed through by two little connectors on the back, so I'm guessing there will be LEDs on the PCB at the back of the device, which will shine through those light strips and then into those little indicators. We'll be showing those working in just a moment. Now on the front of the device, on the left hand side we have an Asustor logo, some different LEDs and actually an IR blaster for this little remote. The little remote runs off two AAA batteries, and as you can see there's the IR blaster there, so all you have to do is click and point around. We'll be showing you the features of this later. Now there's a USB 3 port in the front with a copy button, a LAN indicator LED, hard drive indicator LED, power button and LED, some venting on the left hand side depending which way you look at it, sometimes right, I don't know. There's a small fan on the back, USB 3 port, HDMI port, two USB ports, an Ethernet port, headphone jack and the power port. There's also a Kensington lock, which is quite nice. Now if you wanted to take off the back or wanted to take out the housing, all you have to do is undo the 3 screws and just pull the thing off, which is pretty awesome. There's not really too much to see, especially on the other sides. Top and bottom and everything are all fairly standard. Now the device is pretty awesome. It uses its own sort of Linux based operating system, although the web UI looks a lot like QNAP's offerings. So this one is called the ADM and we're going to be taking a look at that in more detail later. Just to point out, if you plug in a USB 3 memory stick like this Kingston one, it will automatically start the LED will turn on and then you can hit the button and it copies everything to a specific folder that you've assigned it to in the drive. Now this does have to be set up, so you don't expect to just plug in all your hard drives or USB drives and then suddenly expect it all to work again, but it is pretty awesome. It's a nice feature to have, and especially on the front of the device where you can just plug it in. Now this is the sort of HDMI output, the web UI sort of look. So it does come with a full version of Chrome, and you can plug in a keyboard and mouse to any of the USB ports on the front or the back of the device, so you can use this as a media center style PC. It's quite interesting to actually be able to use a keyboard and mouse or the Asustor remote that it comes with. By the way, the remote is an option extra, and if you want to know more about the box and stuff, because we're not really going to talk about that here, that will all be in the unboxing, which I'll try and link down below. But yes. So the NAS itself is fantastic, its performance is great, and we're going to be talking about that in just a moment when we get onto the performance, but nonetheless the Chrome browser on here isn't fantastic. The YouTube browser is literally just a link, but one thing that this excels in is XBMC. Now the XBMC is Xbox Media Center and allows you to play videos, music, pictures, basically anything media from the device, obviously via HDMI. This is fantastic, so you can just plug it in next to your TV. Don't worry, I did speed this up. This is going to be part of the footage for the Zotac review, hopefully, so that the actual PC, by the way, is awesome, but not the point. So the NAS itself has because it only has a gigabit port, it is a limiting factor in that sense, so the hard drive may be able to run a little bit quicker on internal file transfers. One thing is on the web UI you can see that there's access control. Now to be able to do a Windows share, what you do is you go add a name, add a new shared folder. You can encrypt it if you want by adding a password, and then you just go through and set it up. And then, as usual, if you've ever done a Windows share before, all you need to know is that you go map network drive / the IP address / the folder name, and then that attaches fine. If you don't encrypt it, you don't need a password or login information, whereas if you do, then you'll need that. The way that the folder system works is fairly similar to a lot of other things, in that it just sort of says you've got this much space available on the whole drive, but I believe you can assign a certain amount of space to a certain amount of folders. which is pretty awesome. Now the App Central is basically like the App Store for the NAS, and there's loads of different files. But one thing that really surprised me, which is fantastic, is the compression. You can right click and compress stuff. You know, right inside the web UI on the NAS using the dual-core hyper-threaded Intel Atom CPU. It's only got 1 gig of RAM, so it's not great for you know, compressing files really quickly. But I was so impressed with the compression file size that it came out with. I compressed, I think it was a 1 gig file, 1.5 gig file, and it came out as 100 meg, and I was just in a .7z file. I was incredibly impressed. Now it does have a feature called Cloud ID, which basically means that you can access the NAS from anywhere. I've tested this out at both my college. I've had other people you know, remotely log into the NAS using a different user account and trying that out, and it works seamlessly, flawlessly, fantastically. It basically uses the NAS to sort of ping home to the Asustor servers to then be able to, you know, I guess, tell it where your IP address is. So you don't need a static IP at home, which is fantastic. You don't have to even bother with your you know, service provider doing that for you. So that's pretty fantastic. Now the login page is awesome. The transfer speeds are fantastic. They're up to and around about 130 megasecond. And one thing I want to touch upon is the mobile app that it comes with. So the app itself you're going to have to download through iOS or Android app stores, but it's pretty cool. It's called AI Master and allows you to see things like the CPU, memory, LAN, hard drive utilization. You know, you can turn on and off settings. You can see anything about the NAS, things like the dual-core 1.2 GHz processor and the gig of RAM that it's got. You can also go into the App Central thing and basically turn on or off apps. You can't change anything or add any new apps, just turn them on and off. And there are two other apps you can get, the AI Remote and the AI Data. AI Data allows you to you know, actually manage the files, and the AI Remote acts just about the same as a remote. You can also shut down, you know, restart, sleep, or go night mode for the NAS, which is awesome, and you can turn on and off the services too. Now the NAS itself, I cannot recommend it more. I don't really talk about the transfer speeds too much, mainly because it's only gigabit, which means the hard drive itself can write faster, so it's basically saturating gigabit, which is great. Your transfer speeds are going to be fantastic, so don't worry about that. Now the NAS itself is fantastic if you want a media center while having, you know, the redundancy of 2 drives and, you know, just a general awesome product. It's great value. I won't tell you the price because that changes a lot, but with the functionality of the HDMI port, it really does bring something special to the device and does merit that little bit of extra cost over other things. Anyway, if you like this video, hit the like button. If you dislike this video, hit the dislike button. Let us know what you did or didn't like in the comments down below, and let us know what you would do if you had this NAS. Anyway, that's pretty much it from me, and I'll see you all in the next one.